Welcome back to the shop. I'm Dave, and this week we're working under the hood. So this week I'm looking towards putting all the accessories on the front of this engine. I'm looking like the belt, the air conditioning compressor, and the alternator. I also want to get the throttle hooked up. I want to get the master cylinder back in here and the power steering on. I also want to get the starter on there, some of the engine wiring, and do an oil change. I'm going to start with the oil change first. A couple weeks ago I already put in this new oil filter and I filled it full of fresh oil. Engine hasn't been ran in several months, so it still has the old oil in it, and I'll just drain it out and put some fresh stuff in. So draining the oil out from underneath this truck's fairly simple. You don't even need to jack it up. You just slide underneath here and you're right there. I noticed that the oil pan plug seal is leaking, so I went ahead and got a new seal for that. Hopefully it's just a seal and it's not cross-threaded in here, because that would complicate a lot of things. Looks okay. I got the new copper washer installed and tightened back up and should be good to go. Now all's left to go is to fill it back up with some Rotella. So the reason these things are dirty on the outside is because I buy the oil in a 5-gallon pail and then I transfer it over into these smaller ones because it's a little easier to lift 5 liters up here at chest height rather than 5 gallons. And don't be a hero, use a funnel. So now that I've got the oil changed, I'm onto this now. This is a high mount AC relocation kit. Now what this is going to do is bring the air conditioning compressor up from where it would normally hit the frame rail down there, because I've moved the engine back 4 inches, and it puts it up here. Once I get her attached to this engine, it'll probably pick up around here, I think, and then she'll go on. I don't know, it didn't come with any instructions. So I'm going to figure out how to put this kit together. So I built this up on the bench so I didn't run into any surprises. Good thing I still had the old bolt here that held the alternator in, and to reuse the other bolt down here as well. I'm a little disappointed it didn't come with new hardware, but I guess that's the way she goes. And just like that, it's installed. So that would have been a heck of a lot easier to install before I put the radiator in. Starting to get a little tight in this engine bay. Next up, I got this brake master cylinder and hydro boost system painted up. This one looks a little different from your other master cylinders. It's powered by the power steering instead of a vacuum. It doesn't use the vacuum because diesels don't naturally make a vacuum. Sometimes they have a vacuum pump on board, but this is a stronger system. So I'll get this bad boy installed. And while I'm at it, I'll throw some new power steering lines at her. Alright, got these lines installed. So the way this works is the power steering pump provides pressure to this hydro boost system, which is my power brakes, or my power brake assist. And then from there, it goes and supplies power to my front steering box there for my power steering. And then they both have drains. That's what the center one's for. And then they all drain back into that power steering pump. Over here I got the engine wiring harness, and it's looking a little rough. So I'm going to give it a little fresh update and new loom and clean it up a little bit, and then I'll get her installed. Got it freshened up here. I got some blue marking right there. That's for where each one of these P-clamps are going to go. These aren't any good, so I'm going to get some new ones. So I'm down here underneath the truck seeing if I can get this front drive shaft in. And I got her in the back here and just wanted to see. And she's a little short. Let's see if we can focus there. Yeah, she's a little short. That's pretty much not surprising considering I moved the entire engine drivetrain back. Probably about 4 inches. So I'll need to get a front drive shaft cut for that. I guess that being said, I'm going to have to get a rear drive shaft cut as well. So from that mating face all the way back to this mating face, looks like I got 35 1/8. And then for the rear drive shaft, she's a little long. And then for the rear drive shaft, we got 57 1/4. So moving on, I want to get this box and that truck. This is the entire HVAC unit assembly. You got your blower motor, you got your heater core, and your AC evaporator. This is a whole vacuum operated job. It has your defrost, your vents for your floor, and I probably won't use this, but this is your mid vent here. And then you got your fresh air vent and your recirc down here. I think in order to get it to fit, I gotta cut the dash out. The way that HVAC box came out of the other truck is straight out, so I think the best way to approach this is to have it go straight in. Once I successfully get the HVAC in, then I can button up the firewall and the floor here. Well, I think that might be a first. Air conditioning in a 70-year-old Army truck. I left a little space just above this, just so I have some room in case I gotta run some wires or cables or whatever. And then this will be the defrost. What I'll do here is, well, this won't be here, this will be covered. But I think what I'm gonna do is make a duct that comes out and underneath this and then comes up flush, and then I'll put the defrost up on the window on the dash side here. And then over here for the fresh air vent, I think what I'm gonna do is, let me get some light. I think I might vent it into the side here. There's like a pocket here in the A-pillar. And I think if I'm lucky, yeah, I might put some louvers or some kind of filter here. And this will be the intake for the cab for the fresh air, just behind the fender here. I've lost a bunch of my glove box depth, but I'm still going to keep the glove box there. And there'll be lots of space over here for my gauges. This box is held to the firewall with 4 locating bolts, here, 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 and one over here. But to get it on the firewall, I had to drill holes through it to get it to go through. And then, as with this also, I found the best way to get these holes in the firewall on the first try is to use a template. So that's what I've done here, is I've just lined everything up that it's square and then pushed it right through. And then this one's for the drain hole. And then from there, you can bring it over the firewall. I've already got these cut, but I just located it up, put a paint marker through, and then there's your holes. I've got the sides and the top in here for the firewall extension, but I gotta put this back piece in, and I gotta get the heater hoses to come through. So what I've done here is I'm gonna locate them on a piece of cardboard. So just take some automotive grease, some axle grease, and just cover these like that. And then get your pre-cut piece of cardboard out here, and then get her in there. So this piece of cardboard here, cut the size from the other piece that I cut out, and I'm just going to push it up here, make sure it's got a good transfer of the grease, make sure it falls down on the floor. And then once I pick it off the floor, those are the two holes I need to locate on the piece of metal so I can get the heater hoses to go through. And because the holes are so small and so close together and where they're at, I'm just going to cut out a slot for both of them to pass through so I have less trouble putting in the heater core. And now for the proof of concept. And there you are. Looks like it's gonna fit. A little tight, but she'll work. I ordered this new drive shaft. This one is this is one out of a manual transmission. This is a 6-speed. I believe it has a longer transmission, but the same transfer case. And because it sits on the rear mounts, I'm hoping that this one's gonna fit in place where this one didn't. So let's see if she works. Got her installed. And just like that, proof's in the pudding. That's gonna work. Then I also went ahead and got a new starter. This old starter was looking pretty rough. It was missing some vent holes and stuff like that. I tested this old one out on the bench and it was vibrating pretty hard and making some odd noises. So it came off the truck pretty hard. So just for a bit of peace of mind, I'm gonna put a fresh one in and never think about it again. And it's installed. Okay, so here I got most of the firewall in. So what I did here is I made this bucked out a little bit more for the back of the engine block. I have this port here for the heater hoses to go in through. This part's welded in permanently, and then just underneath of it, this comes out as one piece. It's just one band, and then before you take that off, you'd have to take this floor piece off. And then if you need to, you can take this piece off so you can get at the back of the engine block. I'm not completely done here with the floor. I think what I might end up doing is cutting out a lot of this stuff where I don't need it, because I don't need the transfer case shifter levers and the old shifter hole. So I might end up cutting this out later and making her flat, but I'm going to leave that option open. So this might be a first. Air conditioning in an old army truck. It's not so much that it gets super hot where I live, it's just the amount of the condensation on the windshields that really bug me. So this is my answer for that. So chances are I'm not going to use this vent that comes out the mid-range. I'll probably just keep it to the floor vents here, and then I'll make special use of this defroster vent here. Hopefully I'll get it out through here and around, and then figure out some kind of solution to get it up on the windshield. So as you can see, it doesn't protrude at all past the dash, and I should be able to get in the gauges and stuff. There should be enough relief there. It's probably about 4 or 5 inches where I'm going to put the gauges, and then I'll probably still have room for putting in a glove box, albeit probably a bit shallower. It's been a bit of a slog, but that's all for this week.